settings. All right, peace. You can hear me?
Okay, you go on.
All right. I don't hear your echo. I hear mine slightly, but long as the audience don't hear mine, we good to go.
Yes, sir.
Let me see something. So we live, everybody. I'm going to make a few adjustments on a few settings to make sure that everything is heard and understood loud and clear. But the first thing I'm going to ask for those that's in the listening audience, because I'm already seeing that some are watching, is change the setting. If you can hear clear without any echo, don't comment yet. Let me check something first. And let me see. For some reason, I'm not hearing anything. Okay. Somebody just commented. Okay, peace, Lord. This is Napalm Jaquan. All right, peace. I can hear you. He's on YouTube. Can you hear us both clearly, or are you hearing any echo or static? Just let me know. Okay. Let's see. Anybody that's commenting on YouTube, I'm checking for the Facebook comment section right now to make sure that we can see these things. Oh, okay. Just a second. 1 second. Let me make this live. Okay, he says he can hear us crystal clear. So they can hear us on YouTube. Let me edit the audience on Facebook so that way we can get the comments from there. All right, so we ready. They say they hear us good. For some reason, let me do just one thing. Hold on. All right, so we are ready to go. We are going to go in just about 60 seconds. I'm going to share this from other page. Right. Oh, thanks everybody for tuning in. We got some good information. We ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And feel free to ask any questions that you want. You can challenge us with the questions. I can't speak for everybody else who says that they represent the messenger's teachings, but we don't run from or shy away from any questions. There's no as a difficult question. If you have a question that I can't answer or my brother can't answer, then guess what? We just simply can't answer it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be honest about this. Check this on YouTube. Yeah. Anybody can hear me? Khalil, you there?
I can hear you good, God.
All right, it kicked me out, and I hear you good too. No echo. So let's just get right to this. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I want to say first of all, this might surprise a few people, but I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom because yes, I actually do observe. Let me turn this down on my computer. I actually do observe Shabbat, and we're going to get into the science of this on the Asiatic calendar. Happy Saturday, which happy. It's a nice day out, so I'm hoping that y'all enjoying y'all day, and I thank everybody for wanting to tune in and for tuning in on this podcast. Anybody who hasn't, if you're not catching it live and you're catching the replay, it's okay because you haven't missed out on the thing. We're going to get directly to this. So, oh, and thanks to my brother Khalil, as I was saying before it kicked me out, I didn't want to do this by myself. And I said to myself, all right, who could I reach out to that's rooted in the messenger's teachings, not stuck, because there's a difference between being stuck and being rooted, you know, but rooted in the messenger's teachings, but can and is willing to study virtually anything. And this is what gods do. You know, gods are not stuck anywhere. Some people are stuck, and I'm not going to make a big issue out of that, but you know, we're not limited to anything because as the Holy Quran says, Allah has no limitation. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the subject that we are touching today, as we can see on the screen now, is the Asiatic world calendar and the science of it. Now, to be quite frank with you, this is not anything new. There's nothing new under the sun. I myself didn't just, you know, get struck by lightning in the head and get a whole bunch of knowledge or read no super special books or anything like that. I just simply studied history, studied what we've been had, saw that it's something that is still in practice, although the wicked use it, the 10%, but they use it for manipulative purposes and they make a mockery of it and they tell us that it's all pagan, stay away from it, etc., etc. But it's something that's still being used commonly throughout the world today. You know, of course, they watered it down and they added their things to it to make us shun us from the wisdom of our own ancestors. I'm going to get into this and I'm going to show that this is in the Quran, this is in the messenger's teachings, this is inside the lessons, this is virtually everywhere. I'm going to read some of these comments and then go ahead, Khalil.
Not to cut you off, God, but it's in all of our ancient teachings. Whether it's
Absolutely.
ancient Egypt, Sumeria, it's in all our ancient teachings. This is not a made-up calendar. This is the original calendar.
Right, absolutely.
The original. And
we're going to show and prove this. I'm going to get to some of these comments real quick, some of these greetings, and then we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes. So that's the Palm Jaquan. It's peace. Peace to the God in the Palm Jaquan. I hope I'm saying your name right, correctly, the Palm Jaquan. Okay, he says he hears us crystal clear. So this is Filey Wiquan. Peace, God, I hear you clearly. All right, that's what's up. Thanks for that feedback. This is Mecca Divine Wisdom. She says, peace to the gods and earths. Peace, peace,
Peace,
peace,
peace.
Queen. All right. All right. So this is Kiyama Shabazz says, Assalamu alaikum, beloved. Wa alaikum salam. Thanks for tuning in. You know. All right. So, Khalil, where should we begin? Okay, we're going to prove this, and we're going to show the mathematics behind this in the messenger's teachings, his direct words. We're going to show it in the lessons. We're going to show it in the Holy Quran and through mathematics. Where should we begin first? Or if anybody in the comment section wants to chime in, where do you want us to start first? Or Khalil, whoever.
I think that we should start first with the actual Asiatic calendar.
Cool.
If we look into the in the abridged version of the Theology of Time series, they give the calendar. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has spoken numerous times, used a particular language. He said this year one of our Holy Quran, which is very important, because when you deal with the Asiatic calendar as it is outlined inside of the Theology of Time, the abridged version, it starts out at 13,086 BC, and it is specifically labeled year one. Inside of astronomy, the year one is referencing the beginning of a precessional age. In this particular cycle, it will be in 13,086 BC, beginning in the astrological sign of Virgo. It's the same exact time period, it is the same exact science, but it takes on a different language and connotation when you are speaking on an astronomical basis and you're using that particular language. So when the messenger had presented that, he was actually taking us back to the original calendar that is written in the stars. That's what I think we should start with.
All right. So let's get to that. So if we, there's many different calendars out here in the world today from different traditions. You know, we have what we call today the Islamic calendar, which is the synodic lunar hydra calendar. We have there's several others. We have the Gregorian calendar. There's many different types of calendars. However, when we are dealing specifically, right now in this particular podcast, we're going to deal specifically with the calendar, which was at one time the predominant calendar, the world calendar. It was used around the entire world for the most part, including Eastern and Western Europe up until the year 1582, when Pope Gregory XIII instituted the Gregorian calendar. I'm going to get into that later. But prior to 1582 and Pope Gregory XIII in the Gregorian calendar, the Western Europe, pretty much the known world, use this particular calendar that we're speaking of, which begins on the first day after the vernal equinox. In today's world, well, before I even say that, I'll say I believe it was Napoleon, no, or was it Alexander the Great? It was one of the two of them that went into the Nile Valley. They went into the Temple of Dendera in Egypt, and they went and they destroyed the place. And what they saw on the ceiling, they saw a sculpture on the ceiling that you see on the screen now. And what they saw, this was the calendar of Dendera. And they noticed that the priests or the wise ones in that area of the original people, they used this calendar to tell time, even to make predictions. You know, today they have watered it down, added things to it, and they call it the zodiac. And they made it more so something for entertainment and monetary purposes. But in its original form, it was actually a calendar that our forefathers used to predict and to, just like people predict the weather, they use to time events in advance. In advance. I'm going to go to a quote from the messenger, just beginning with this. And he says in his language, this is on page 108 of Message to the Black Man. He says, and I quote, I'm going to read it from the book because the screen is actually too small for me. So bear with me, y'all. Okay. He says, we make such history once every 25,000 years. When such history is written, it is done by 24 of our scientists. One acts as judge or God for the others, and 23 actually do the work of getting up the future of the nation. And all is put into one book, and at intervals where such and such part or portion will come to pass, that people will be given that part of the book through one among that people from one of the 12 major scientists. As it is then called a scripture, which actually means script of writing from something original or book. There is a significance to the number 24 scientists and the 25,000 years. The number 24 scientists use is in accordance with the hours in our day and the measurement of the circumference of our planet around the equator and in the region of our poles, Arctic and Antarctic oceans. Okay. He goes even further on that page to say, let's see, just give it a second to load. All right. Okay, there it goes. Wait. Okay, here it goes. Bear with me, y'all. Pardon me for a second. All right. He goes on further to say, our planet is not exactly 25,000 miles in circumference. It is 24,896. And we, according to astronomy, don't have a full 24-hour day, but near that. 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. The change made in our planet's rotation at the poles is about 1 minute a year, and it takes 25,000 years to bring about a complete change in the region of the poles. The actual poles are inclines 23.5 degrees to the plane of its orbit. The original black nation used 23 scientists to write the future of that nation for the next 25,000 years, and the 24th is the judge or the one God, Allah. Allah taught me that once upon a time, they made history to last for 35,000 years. That's page, that's Message to the Black Man, pages 108 to 109. Now, when Khalil, I believe he said this earlier, either he said this on his podcast or he said it in private conversation, but he said so many times, he mentioned about the procession of the equinoxes. This procession of the equinoxes that our Asiatic calendar, which is a 25,000 year calendar, is based on. It's actually based on the rotation or the change made in our planet's poles at 1 mile per year. And it takes about 25,000 years to make about a complete change in the region of its poles, right? And from there, this procession of the equinoxes, as they call it, this is what makes that's what makes this whole Asiatic calendar so unique, because this calendar that we use in the Asiatic world, it literally begins the first day after the spring equinoxes. This is the original new year when new life springs onto the planet. Let's see, just one moment. Let's see. Now, Khalil, is there anything you want to add on to that before we go to the next?
Well, just to add on as far as its source, and that it was a system for which was a calendar that was used in the ancients in a book called Ordo Ab Chao by an individual by the name of Roland Pucandian. I never knew how to pronounce his name, but he made a statement pertaining to the Sumerian calendar. He said various studies of Sumerian mathematics point out that the numerals are intimately connected to the precessional cycle. The unusual alternating structure of the Sumerian system throws special emphasis on the number 12,960, which represents exactly 500 great precessional cycles of 25,920 years. So it shows that even the calendar system that was set up by the ancient Sumerians was also in regards to the processional cycle and age. This is how come the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Theology of Time lecture speaks of that the devil had not yet reached what he called the ancient astronomy. It's because the devil have not still learned fully and completely the usage of the calendars in our ancient systems in order to use it to determine time and situations that will come about for which we will consider it as prophecy, right?
Real. Now, this right here, we're going to go into some more stuff. And I know there's some, we got people from different, the brother Da Rafista said, peace, universal family. We give you the greetings back, peace. Yeah, this is a universal teaching, and I'm going to show and prove, we're going to show and prove this today for those that's rooted in the messenger's teachings, for those that's rooted in the lessons, for those that's rooted in Quran. We're going to get into all of that. Let's see. It's another greeting here. We have Alim Allah. He gives a greeting. Salam Allah. Allah salam, sir. Thanks for tuning in. All right, now I'm going to go to the lessons. We ain't finished. Oh yeah, we got some heat for y'all today. We're going to get to the actual calendar itself, so let's go directly to the lessons. All right. If we go to question and answer, number 1 of Lost Found Muslim lesson, number 2, the question asks, which I didn't put the question on the board, but here's the answer on the screen. The question asks, who made the Holy Quran or Bible? How long ago? Will you tell us why does Islam renew history once every 25,000 years? Paraphrase. And in the answer, it says here that the Holy Quran, right? I want y'all to pay very close attention to the wording, very close attention, because every word has meaning here in the way he worded it. He says the Holy Quran or Bible is made by the original people. Listen carefully. He said it's made by the original people, who is Allah, the supreme being or black man of Asia. The Quran will expire in the year 25,000, 9,080 years from the date of this writing. This messenger's answer. The nation of Islam is all wise and does everything right and exact. The planet Earth, which is the home of Islam and is approximately 25,000 miles in circumference. So the wise man of the East, black man, makes history or Quran to equal his home circumference, a year to every mile. And thus, every time his history lasts 25,000 years, he renews it for another 25,000 years. Now, that's the end of that quote. But look very carefully at the wording, right? He says here, if you go to the excuse me, you go to the bottom paragraph, he says clearly that so the wise man of the East, black man, makes history or Quran. Makes history or Quran. So the word or between history and Quran means that the two terms are equal and interchangeable. So we are making history, literally. We make history with our actions, our words, our deeds. This history that we make, the original people, is what the messenger said that he saw the 23 of our scientists actually writing. So the 23 of our scientists actually wrote the history or the Quran that they saw us, the original people, making. This has to be understood clearly because, there are a lot of us that don't want to accept the fact that the original people, like the messenger said, is Allah, the supreme being or black man of Asia. Or between supreme being and black man basically means that those two terms are equal and interchangeable. Supreme, black, being, man. This is crystal clear. So they literally wrote the history. We didn't write it ourselves. Our forefathers wrote it, but they wrote the history that they saw us making, the history or Quran. So we got to bust up the spookism. We have to make the messenger's teachings very practical and very real because they are very practical and very real. Let me, you can add on, guys. Anytime you feel like adding on, just go on, because I'm looking for more stuff to add on.
Absolutely, because what we have is two different phases. Either somebody accepts the teachings of the messenger fully literal and don't think that it has any symbolic meaning, or either they turn it completely symbolic and they spiritualize it and take it away from its literal root meaning.
Right.
And there's not a balance between the two. And it must be understood that the messenger teaches has a literal application and it has a spiritual or symbolic application.
Right.
But that is according to what he taught. He said for every physical act, there's a spiritual counterpart. So
Right.
there's a spiritual and there's a literal meaning to everything that he taught. It's easy to spiritualize the teachings of the messenger. The mind is infinite. We can infinitely come up with all type of scenarios and sciences to attach, but it takes a lot more time to sit down and actually study in order to see what's actually in them.
Right.
And that's the most important part.
Right. Right. Deep. And that's real. That's real. I hope everybody. I'm saying this in advance, and I'm glad this came to me before we got into the mathematics. If you can, if you're able to, please grab pen and paper or a calculator. Either which would be fine, because this is a teaching session and a learning session. We're not just going to be running our mouths just like that. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm going to get into some Holy Quran. I'm going to get into some Holy Quran. I'm going to bring it right back to the messenger. Bear with me just a moment. Now, this is key. I'm going to show the months on the Asiatic calendar so we can see where this starts and how this works. This right here is so key. And this part, this ayat, this translation is actually from Yusuf Ali's translation. This is from Surah 9, ayat 36, verse 36. It says, the number of months in the sight of Allah is 12 in a year, so ordained by him the day he created the heavens and the earth. Of them, 4 are sacred. This is straight usage. Now, he mentions 12 months since ordained by him since the day he created the heavens and the earth. Now, how I take that, this is how I take this. I take that the messenger taught us about the moon history. He taught us that at one time, the moon and the earth were one and the same. There was all one planet. And that a dissatisfied scientist that wanted to destroy the planet, he blasted it into 2 parts. You know, and now this part, if we look at the messenger, as he said that our planet is on an incline 23.5 degrees from the plane of its orbit. I believe, and I'm going to say this, that this blast or this disruption on our planet produces incline, which led to the different seasons and the different variations that we experience, because that's why the poles rotate the way that they do. This, good. You were saying something, God?
No, I was saying, man, that's heavy.
Okay, right. All right, now, he says 12 months in a year, so ordained by him the day he created the heavens and the earth. Well, let's just say that separation. Of them, 4 are sacred. This is the straight usage. Now, how do we determine which 4 are sacred, and how do we determine the months, and how do we determine how to calculate the time from this event? Okay, simple mathematics. 12 months in a year. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So 3 times 4 equals 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. Therefore, to find out which months are sacred months, months 3, month 6, month 9, and month 12 have to be the sacred months. Now, what is it about these months that make them so sacred? Okay, well, let's go to the first month. I'm going to show it on the screen. Y'all can screenshot. Y'all can, do it how y'all choose to do it. Let's see. Okay. I hope all of them showed up. Okay, so here's the first month, right? Which in Arabic, Wahad Shahar means month 1 or first month. Maybe I pronounced it wrong. Okay, so this first month, as we can see, this is our current calendar, the current year that we're in. We're in the year 15,108. The first day, New Year's Day, begins the day after the spring equinox. So on the Gregorian calendar, this comes rather on the Gregorian calendar as March 21st through April 20th. So when we translate March 21st through April 20th from the Gregorian calendar to the Asiatic world calendar, that would be the first day 1 of the first month to day 31 of the first month, the first 31 days. So the first 31 days, the first month of the Asiatic calendar, Asiatic world calendar, or the year in the Asiatic world, corresponds with this year, dates March 21st through April 20th of the Gregorian calendar. Now, let's go to, let's see. Let's go to the third month. Month 3, month 6, month 9, and month 12. Spare with me one moment. Let's see, is this? This might be it. Okay, boom. This is month 3. Well, I was hoping y'all be able to see it on the screen, but I didn't get the full catch. But anyway, if we go to month 3, where it says sacred month, or which is in Arabic, part of my pronunciation, Ashahar al-Thalith, which means the third month. It's a sacred month. It's one of the 4 sacred months, months 3, 6, 9, and 12. At the end of this month, we see the summer solstice. It's circled in red, right? At the very end of this month is the summer solstice. So what makes the sacred months in the Asiatic world is that these sacred months, or the end of these sacred months, these months end with a solstice or an equinox. These are key turning points in the Earth's orbit around our sun. So that's month 3. Let's go further to the next sacred month, month 6, right? Which is Ashahar al-Sadis, month 6. On the Gregorian calendar, that's from August 24th to September 23rd, right? This 6th month ends with the autumn equinox. The Greeks would call this Virgo. If we notice, the months are color-coded. In Greek astrology or cosmology, as they would say, Virgo is an earth element. But if we look at fire, earth, air, and water, these can all be found on that scripture calendar that I shared with you earlier that the brother Khalil went into, that the Greeks found in the Nile Valley, that calendar of Dendera. They use these elements in their judgment, their decision-making, the judgment, fire, air, water, earth. Now, I know some of us look at the judgment and think of destruction and all of that, and there is truth to that. But judgment also deals with decision-making. And the wise use these elements in making their wise decisions and plans or judgments. Okay, so the 6th month, which is a sacred month, which is an earth element, which is why it symbolically symbolized the color green. It ends in the autumn equinox. So that would be September 23rd, the last day of the 6th month. The 9th month, 3, 6, 9. Now we're going to go to the 9th month, which is also a sacred month. Now that's deep because we're going to, this whole 9th month Ramadan thing and the messenger's teachings, we're going to get into that. But month 9 in the Asiatic world corresponds with the Gregorian November 23rd to December 21st. What makes this month sacred is that it ends in the winter solstice. So the 29th and final day of month 9 will correspond with December 21st in the Gregorian calendar. Again, the 29th day of month 9 in the Asiatic world corresponds with December 21st on the Gregorian calendar, which is the winter solstice. So this is what makes month 9 sacred and holy. Now this is going to blow your mind. Just bear with me. Okay, the last month, 3, 6, 9, 12, the last sacred month, as the Holy Quran said, 12 months with Allah, 4 of them are sacred. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So every 3 months, 3, 6, 9, 12 is a sacred month. What makes them sacred is that they end key points in the Earth's rotation around the sun, the solstices or the equinox. Oops, this is month 6. Let me go to month 12. Bear with me, y'all. This should be it right here. Okay, this is the 12th month, month 12, which in Arabic is pronounced Al-Shahar Ithnani Isha, the 12th month. And on a Gregorian calendar, it corresponds with February 20th, deep, through March 20th. That's deep because February 20th, if we know your lessons, that's a date that the messenger answered question and answer, Lost Time Lesson number 2, the 1 through 40. But we'll get into that shortly thereafter. So the last day of the last month, or the last day of the year rather, ends with the spring equinox, as you could say. The 29th day of month 12 is the spring equinox. As you can look on this calendar on this month, the very next day is the new year in 15,109. But we're looking at the 15,108 calendar. Now, if we were to look at this from, bear with me, y'all, from the astronomical point of view, and I'm hoping that this uploaded, because if this didn't upload, well, you know what? I can upload it right now. Bear with me. If there's anything you want to add on in the meantime, Khalil, feel free.
No, sir. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, brother. Go ahead, do.
Okay. Let me add this right here, because I thought that I forgot to add something. But with this app right here and this software, you can actually add on while you're building. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you can look at this from an astronomical point of view, or from the view of space, right? This is the Earth's orbit around the sun. These are the 4 key points. You have the January, I'm sorry, on the left, you have the June solstice. On the bottom, you have the September equinox, which is the autumn equinox. To your far right, you have the December solstice, which is the winter solstice. And to the to the top, you have the March equinox, which is the vernal or spring equinox. And again, to your left, you have the June solstice, which is the summer solstice. Now, look at this very, very carefully. These are the 4 key points on the Earth, or 4 key transition sacred points on the Earth's orbit around the sun. This is where Holy Quran Surah 9 verse 36 comes into play, where it says, with Allah there's 12 months, and of these 12, 4 of them are sacred. These sacred months are key points, again, that bring about, these are transitional periods of the Earth's orbit around the sun. 2 solstices, 2 equinoxes. Now, this is where it gets, the meat and potatoes come. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Fasten your seatbelts. Fasten your seatbelts. Oh, did this upload? Okay, I think I had to upload. Okay, just a second. If you were to turn this upward, look at this very, very carefully. This is the Earth's orbit around the sun, right? And you see the lines connecting the solstice, June through December, with the equinoxes, March through September. If you were to turn this upward, right? What do you see? Does anybody notice that? You notice that, Khalil?
Yes, sir.
What does that look like to you?
An egg.
It looks like an egg. Like the messenger did say, the Earth's orbit around the sun is oblong, egg-shaped, right? Now,
Yes,
if you also notice, you see a cross between those key, when you look at if you were to draw lines connecting the solstices and the equinoxes, or one line connecting the solstice, summer solstice to the winter solstice, and one line connecting the vernal spring equinox to the autumn or fall equinox, you would have a cross, and that cross would cross right in the middle of the sun, right in the heart of the sun, right? We see some of these comments, we're going to get right to y'all. Peace, Ra Akel Muhammad, that's aka New Islam. Peace to the guy. He says, As-salam Allah. Allah salam, sir. Right? Then he says, let's get it. Yeah, we getting into it right now. So y'all pay close attention, right? This is the Earth's orbit around the sun. Those 4 sacred months, those 4 sacred points on the Earth's orbit around the sun, the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices. We have a line connecting the summer solstice to the winter solstice, and we have another straight line connecting the fall or autumn equinox to the spring equinox. If we were, again, to connect those solstices together with each other and the 2 equinoxes together, it will form a cross with the sun directly on the cross. Now, pay close attention. Where do we see this at? What role does this play in the spiritual traditions of the planet? You ready? Here it goes. Y'all see this? The messenger said, now, everything that we see above, like the messenger said that the root of the scope of Master Fard Muhammad's teachings is astronomy. That which we see above, which takes place in the cosmos, is literally symbolic of events that would take place on the planet. Now, this is not getting into the whole religious thing, because even the cross, if we truly understand it, or the story of Christ on the cross according to Christianity, right? That has a symbolic meaning that ties back into our history, which again ties back into the cosmos. See the correspondence? If you see the correspondence there, and we go back to the Earth's rotation around the sun, let's bring it back square, boom. We got the solstices, we got the equinoxes. Those 4 points or those 4 corners are what we would call, what the Holy Quran calls sacred points that are hosted by sacred months. And excuse me, and this is what makes months 3, 6, and 9 sacred. Now let's go over month 9 in this Ramadan thing. I know, Khalil, you might have something for this, but okay. Month 9 on the Asiatic world commences generally this year in 15,108 on November 23rd, and it ends on the 21st of December, the winter solstice. Again, what makes this month, or the 9th month, a sacred month, is that it ends in one of the sacred points, the winter solstice. Again, the months are color-coded. On the zodiac, as they would say, I don't even like using the term zodiac. I'm going to say the calendar of Dendera, right? On the calendars, on the months of the Asiatic world in this particular calendar, they were color-coded and they were symbolically represented by different elements. Here we have red, which is symbolized by fire. In the Muslim, in the Islamic world, they say that the 9th month is the month of Ramadan, and it's represented by, you know, Ramadan means heat and dry, etc. But this fire element, which on the language of the zodiac, they refer to it as Sagittarius. This fire element, or this fire month, beginning on November 23rd to December 24th, this also corresponds with the dietary law. Like you got fire, you have air, you have water, you have earth. And how to eat to live. The messenger said that during the month of December, that we should only eat fruits and vegetables, right? He told us we should fast and we should detox and we should keep our mind on the higher things. Out of the 4 sacred elements, fire, air, water, and earth, fire is of the highest vibration. Earth is the lowest and the most dense vibration. So when he told us to fast and keep our minds on the higher things and to eat fruits and vegetables, these are to eat the higher level fruits and foods. This corresponds with that sacred month. This corresponds with that fire element, which the zodiacs or the Greeks refer to as Sagittarius. But this is actually Al-Shahar Al-Tasi, which is the 9th month in the Asiatic world. It's a sacred month because it ends with the winter solstice. Add on, Khalil, if you feel what you want to add on, if there's anything. If not, you can go on.
No, I'm listening, God.
Okay.
What I would also like for you to do, right?
Yes, sir.
Many years ago, on the building of the Asiatic calendar, you showed of how the messenger did his determination and measurements at the equinox, right? And how he showed that at our equators in order to come up with the numbering, because individuals was multiplying the diameter of the earth and all of that, and they were saying the numbers wasn't coming up correct. And that's because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad definitely made a statement in regards, he said specifically at the equinox, at the equator. So he was given the measurements of the 25,000 year cycle at the equator. You had built on that several years ago, which actually shows, if we was to put it in a computer generated image, it will show that the earth was actually oblong in its shape and not necessarily all the way around.
Yes, I remember that. I remember.
Not to go on that, which goes back to the ancient writings, because as we have shown throughout ancient writings of ancient Egypt, ancient Sumer, and all of those particular regions, when it was showing and displaying the earth or the universe, they always showed it in an egg-shaped form. Right. That was always.
Right, absolutely. And the messenger's teachings, about 25,000 miles in circumference, right? He clearly stated, he stated on page 108 of Message to the Black Man, right? He said the number 24 sciences is used in accordance with the hours in our day in the measurement of the circumference of our planet around the equator and in the region of our poles, Arctic and Antarctic oceans. So he says that there are 2 different circumferences given. He says the measurement of the circumference of our planet around the equator, that's one measurement, and in the region of our poles, Arctic and Antarctic oceans. So you have two different circumferences. So the circumference of our planet at the poles, they're going to be shorter. It's going to be a shorter circumference. The circumference at the equator is going to be wider, which means that the planet Earth is fatter or wider at the equator, which gives proof that the Earth's planet, it's not a sphere or a globe, as they would say in that sense, nor is it perfectly flat. It's oblong and egg-shaped. Absolutely correct. I'm glad that you brought that up because, you know, I'm not even going to get into the whole debate with flat Earth and round Earth. The messenger's teaching of the Earth being an oblong sphere is actually 100% right and exact. Some people will say, well, what about the sun? What about the other planets, et cetera, et cetera? They look like they're perfect spheres. See, the sun and the planets, we're not actually looking at the surface of these objects. We're looking at the light reflected from them. If you take a light and you light a candle, right? The fire on the candle, the actual fire itself, it's oblong. Its face is tall, it's oblong. However, from a distance, you'll see that the light reflecting from it is a perfect circle. This doesn't mean that the fire itself is a sphere or it's a perfect circle. It's oblong, but the light radiating from it, reflecting from it, is what is actually perfect. A perfect circle, rather.
Yes, sir. And if they was going to look that up, it would be called an oblate spheroid. Spheroid. So that would be the terminology that you will look up in order to see it. And the messenger gave it in such a manner. He said that the universe was a circle until the creation of man. He said, now you see these little egg-shaped objects. All of that come about, really, from my understanding of the shape of the earth, is from the deportation of the moon.
Right. Which we touched into that earlier, because I said that according to my understanding, the deportation of the moon is to produce that 23.5 degree incline.
Absolutely.
On the plane of the Earth's orbit, the plane on its orbit, the incline at its poles, you know, and this is what gives birth to the precession, what we call the precession of the equinoxes, the 12 different ciphers that the Earth goes through in its orbit around the sun, as well as this 25,000 year time period or time cycle. It goes through 12 different phases.
And it must be kept in reality of giving balance between the literal and the symbolic.
Right.
The moon was actually a part of this earth at one time.
Right. Oh, so I got some heat for that too.
Indeed. Yeah. So that's documented and scientifical so that people don't go to another level. Now, if there was a scientist who blasted the moon from this earth, well, that would be a question. But what we do know that according to our ancient script and how we have always taught certain sciences in the form of an anthropomorphical aspect of it.
Right.
So it is more important to understand that scientist and what that scientist actually represents in accordance to its association with man, our psyche, and things of that nature.
Right. Right. Yeah. Indeed, God. You know what? I'm glad that you said that because I'm downloading something right now that I want to share with the audience for those in the let me see something. Those in the listening in our view, that's going to pretty much offer some solid evidence that, as the messenger said, the moon was indeed blasted from the earth. I'm gonna say it right now, and I'm gonna share it. But I want people to type this down or write this down, do the research. Look up the Pacific Ring of Fire. Let me see if I can log into this right now. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says epileptical sphere, if I pronounce it correctly. Indeed. Let's see. Oops.
And it's not that is limited only to us. We know that they spoke about this in ancient Sumer. They spoke about this in the ancient Olmec traditions of the moon at one time being part of the earth. But again, they put it in a very colorful manner in order to express actual astronomical events that took place, which would eventually create our planetary spheres as we see it today. So it's just very important that they understand that everything the messenger taught has a literal and it has a spiritual meaning. Right. It is best to take first the literal, study it, then apply the spiritual meaning in order to get more, unless you just get spooked out.
Right. Absolutely. You know, Napalm Jaquan said, indeed, the correct term is spheroid.
Absolutely.
And Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, yes, sir. Then he says the moon pulls the waters of the earth. That's interesting. Yeah, that's deep that you say that. I would even go as far as to say also that the earth's waters pull the moon.
Absolutely.
I mean, it does pull the earth's waters because as we see on nights of the full moon, like tonight, right, which I'm going to get into also, there's a stronger pull in the earth's waters, and therefore there's more salt water in the atmosphere, which allows the earth's atmosphere to be more electrically conducive, and it also has an effect on our bodies and minds and brains. You were saying something, God?
Well, that's what the messenger was pointing out in his response to lesson 2, number 8.
Right.
He was dealing with that as science and the effect of the sun and moon on our planet.
Right. Yes.
You know, and when we speak of the planet, we just not make in the earlier writings of the messenger called the prophets planets, and also human beings planets, which is, you know, just regular people planets. So it's also showing the effect of the sun and moon on the human psyche and just on our body naturally, period.
Right.
Like, there's a reason why, you know, we are what you consider to be a literal people.
Right.
So in ancient Egypt, they put the baboon associated with the moon because the ancient Egyptians witnessed that the baboon would howl and it would cause blood to pour from the female baboons when it was a full moon. But they have entire scientific studies that people can look at in which they are showing the actual effect of the moon on our blood, on our neurological systems, and to our central nervous systems. Just from the effect of the moon and the sun on and of itself. Just tell that.
Wow, that's real. You there? You can hear me, God?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm listening.
And you know that the messenger taught that man was created according to the life of the planets.
Right.
He said,
this is the theology of time. Yep, right inside the theology of time.
So we have to understand the association of them things, and then we're brought back to that again in lesson 1, number 4. I mean, number 9. We brought back to that again. The universe is everything: sun, moon, and stars. They are planets. Planets are something made and grown from the beginning, and holy is something I've been diluted, mixed, or tampered with in any form. There is a reason why he sent us back to the study of that and our association and relationship with the planets and the stars and their effect upon us.
Right.
And our effect upon them. Because don't get it twisted, there's always an exchange going on. That is the law of correspondence and cause and effect. There's always an exchange. It is not that just the planets are manifesting outlook upon us. We are affecting the planets.
Absolutely. It's like a seesaw. One affects the other. In fact, in quantum physics, they call this they call it entanglement, where they say 2 entangled particles. Like if something affects one, or one has an effect on the other. If one has an effect on B, or particle 1 has an effect on particle B, this means that there's a relation. They're entangled. And also particle B would have effects on particle A or 1. I hope I said that right. I
understand.
Yeah. We don't have any notes, y'all. We really going off the top. I wanted to prepare some notes, but I was so tired after, handling business yesterday. I tried to get up and get some this morning. It's all good though. We going off the top. I want to share something with y'all, and I'm glad this app allows you to download and research things while you're on it, because I found some stuff. I wanted to show you physical demonstrations, or visual demonstrations of what we're talking about regarding the Pacific Ring of Fire. Now, here it goes. I'm going to show it here. This is the Ring of Fire, y'all. And what the Pacific Ring of Fire is, it's a stretch around the Pacific Ocean, or the land situated around the Pacific Ocean. It's a stretch of volcanoes, active volcanoes, and shifting tectonic plates, and lands around or situated around or alongside the Pacific Ocean. These volcanoes, active and non-active, as well as shifting tectonic plates. Notice there's a lot of earthquakes in these areas. I heard Minister Ali Fallah one time mention, he referred to these as exit wounds. These are literally exit wounds, which suggests that something was blasted from the planet Earth at that particular something was blasted from the planet Earth at that particular spot, or from that particular location. Something was blasted out. So we have all these active volcanoes around this ring of fire, and we have all these shifting tectonic plates with all these earthquakes and stuff taking place. You have to remember, and it's right inside our lessons. This is in the same degree you just quoted. The build and destroy, question and answer number 8, and Lost Sound Muslim lesson number 2. It says it right there at the end. Earthquakes are caused by the Son of Man experimenting on high explosion. The messenger taught us that, this is his words, that 66 trillion years ago, one of our dissatisfied scientists wanted to destroy the entire planet. So he filled up the earth in different places with high explosions that he said dynamite that's 30 or 70% powerful, more powerful than today's dynamite. And he set it off, wanting to blast the earth into destroy it. And the part that blasted out turned over is an exit wound. It turned over and it capsized, and all the water poured out into the part onto this part of Earth, and then that part dried up and eventually became moon, but it couldn't go too far away from the planet Earth because water is the life of a planet, and it always sought to get its life back. And the life of the moon, which is the water, is here on the planet Earth, so it's not going to go too far away. If we look at this Pacific Ring of Fire, again, these are volcanic, active and inactive volcanoes, as well as earthquake areas and shifting tectonic plate areas and lands situated around the Pacific Ocean. Now, to go even further, right? Let's take this even further. The deepest hole in the planet's ocean is referred to as the Mariana Trench. This is right there in the Pacific Ocean, right in the middle of what that Pacific Ring of Fire would be. As we see on the long sides, we see Indonesia, we see the Philippines, we see Taiwan, Japan, China. This is right there inside the Pacific Ocean. We have the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest hole or crater inside the planet Earth, right inside that Pacific Ocean. Look this up, y'all. It's called the Mariana Trench. Take these notes, Mariana Trench. So you have a hole, or the deepest hole or crater inside the Earth, inside the Pacific Ocean, referred to as the Mariana Trench. And on top of that, we have the Pacific Ring of Fire, again, active and inactive volcanoes and shifting tectonic plates and earthquakes in land situated along the Pacific Ocean. All these things suggest that all these things, like Minister Alif mentioned, he referred to the Ring of Fire as exit wounds. And all these things suggest and strongly support the literal messenger's teaching of the something being blasted away from the earth some time ago. We go to some of these comments. We got a lot of comments. Let's see. All right. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, notice when there's a full moon, we get affected. Yeah, that's just like tonight. I'm going to get into the science of Shabbat, the tribe of Shahbaz, what he talked about, and the making of the moon, and how we were the lucky ones to come with this part of the earth, and how I believe that ties into the science of the observation of Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat being one and the same, according to my understanding. Let's see. Let's go to his next comment. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, thus calling it lunacy, LOL. Well, yeah, lunatics. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, Khonsu is the Egyptian god of the moon. That's deep, because I'm wondering if that ties right into the messenger's teachings, okay? He then says, yes, correspondence. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, keep it going. I love it. Yes, sir. Thanks for tuning in. And we got the most people. We got a lot of people watching right now. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, again, oh, wow, it makes sense. Japan, California always have earthquakes. Right, because they're along that Pacific Ring of Fire. That landmass, or that, what's what I'm looking for? That strip of land around the Pacific Ocean, from South America, up and down North America, up and down the Bering Straits, up and down to Far East Asia and Indonesia, the islands in the Pacific. Yeah, that's all the Pacific Ring of Fire. All those earthquakes and active volcanoes and inactive volcanoes, those are all exit wounds, suggesting that something was blasted out from that part. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, I heard of that. Raja Shahbaz says, peace, Lord. Peace to the God. And he gives us the greetings. Assalamu alaikum. We say, wa alaikum salam, sir.
Alaikum salam, sir.
All right. Now, where were we? I'm wondering, okay, so we touched the Holy Quran. Oh, let's go to some more Quranic ayats, and we're going to go to some more lessons. Okay. Alrighty. Bear with me just a moment, y'all. Okay. Wait, not this one. Let's go to, not that one. This one here. This is Surah 10, Ayat 5, right? This is in Yusuf Ali's translation of the Holy Quran. He says, "It is he who made the sun to be a shining glory and the moon to be a light of beauty, and measured out stages for it, that ye may know the number of years and the count of time. No wise did Allah create this but in truth and righteousness. Thus did we explain his signs in detail for those who understand." Remember what you mentioned earlier about how in the year 13,086 BC that our North Pole was pointing towards the what we call the house, or Virgo, you know, that sixth house. And a lot of that has to do with the resurrection of man, because just to go through this, and I'm going to get back to the Quranic ayat shortly, if we go through these 12 months in the Asiatic calendar, particularly starting with the month or the cipher that our current 25,000 year cycle started in, with the North Pole facing Virgo, right? If we were to trace it from start to finish and back to start again, the first 2,500 years, whatever the case is, 2,000 plus years would be 2,200 something years. That would be Virgo. That was in 13,086 BC. The North Pole was pointing at Virgo, right? This will represent the Virgin, okay? The womb of a virgin. The cipher starts, this 25,000 year time cycle starts in the womb of a virgin, okay? The Virgo. Then after that, you have 3 months, so 3 houses. 3 phases. You got Libra, as they would say. Then you have on the zodiac, they translate it as Libra. Then you have Scorpio. Then you have Sagittarius, right? Those 3 months, or those 3 phases, represent the 3 wise men. Now, the 21st of December. Let's go to this. I'll show you real quick. The 21st of December, one of the sacred months, which is the 9th month, right? That is the winter solstice, right? So from the 21st to the 24th, meaning the 21st, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, those are 3 days again. Or the 25th of December, right, which is on the 10th month. Let's see, let me get to this. The 25th of December. Okay, so the 10th month starts the 22nd of December. The 23rd would be the 2nd, 24th would be the 3rd, the 25th. So the 25th of December, which the Christians celebrate as Christmas, they say that's the birth of Christ. If we notice, the color code is green. This is the 10th month of the Asiatic calendar, in the Asiatic world. If the color is coded green, this means that the element is earth. So you have the Son of God being born on the earth, right? After the 3 wise men, from the womb of a virgin, born on the earth. If we go 30 days later, remember what the messenger said in the theology of time. He said in the judgment, days don't literally mean days, but they represent years. So if you go 30 days from the 25th of December, the 25th of December, 30 days later will bring us to, this is sometime in January. This is the 11th month of the Asiatic, in the Asiatic world. Bear with me one moment. Is this it here? Yeah, I believe this is, yeah, month 11. Okay, so 30 days after the 25th of December, you know, with the North Pole is facing that Earth element. 30 days after, the North Pole is now facing what we would call the not the Aquarius. It's facing, yeah, the Aquarius, right? That's the 11th month. The zodiac, they call that the Aquarius. Now, what is the symbol? The symbol or the symbolic representation of the Aquarius is it's the Aquarius, the waterman, the Aquaman, the man pouring out water. This actually represents John the Baptist, the waterman. So the messenger said that days don't literally mean days in the judgment, but it means years. So 30 years after being born on the earth from the womb of a virgin, after the 3 wise men, 30 years later, we have in the New Testament Jesus, or as they would say, being baptized by the waterman, John the Baptist. That's month 11. Then month 12, after what they call Aquarius, you now have Pisces, right, which is a water element. That's actually would correspond with the 12th and final month of the Asiatic, final month in the Asiatic world. It's color coded blue, which means it's a water element. Okay, right after Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist, Aquarius, the water man, he goes into the rivers, the waters, the rivers of Jordan, and the symbolic element for the 12th and final month is a fish. So he goes amongst the Pisces, the fishermen, the fish, and he finds his first disciples amongst the fishermen. And they become fishers of men, right? So then after Pisces comes, after Pisces comes Aries. Now the son of God, as they say, becomes a sacrificial lamb or the ram of God. After he sacrifices Aries, then you have Taurus, you have Gemini. Taurus is the earth element, he's in the earth. Gemini, and you have Taurus, Gemini, and you have Cancer. So you have the God's son being in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights, right? Taurus in that earth element, then Gemini, then Cancer. After Cancer, or after that 4th month, which is that water element, the son of God now becomes the Leo, the lion of God, right? All these animals and all these pictures and all these characters, so these avatars are on the Asiatic calendar, the calendar of Dendera. So the son of God now becomes the lion of God, the Leo, right? It's a fire element. He's in heaven. Fire and air are heaven elements. Earth and water are earth elements. So he's the lion of God, the lion of Judah. And he says, behold, I come again, right? Meaning he's going to start the cycle again, because after Leo comes Virgo. I'm going to come back to the earth element, Virgo, through the womb of a virgin. I'm going to start the cipher again, but we're going to have the judgment, which is the Libra holding the scales. So all of these signs and all these avatars are on the Asiatic calendar. I know some people will say, oh, that's astrology. Actually, it's not, because there's a big difference between astrology and astronomy. And the messenger makes this very clear what those differences are. In astrology, the reason why this is not astrology, because astrology, what do you call the zodiac signs, not the zodiac signs, what do they call those? The constellations, rather. They're not 30 degrees apart. They're not all the same size. This has nothing to do with astrology. That's literally looking up in the sky thinking that that affects you on Earth in that way. No, this is on the Asiatic calendar, and each month or sign, as they would say, or house, is literally 30 degrees apart. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between astronomy and astrology. Now, let me go to some of these comments. Well, we got a lot of comments, God. You there?
I'm here.
Whoa, hold on. Let's go to some of these comments. Sheesh. Okay, I'm going to try to get to all of them. Okay, Roger Shabazz says seismic activity. All right. Then 99 Al Fali Waikwan says the Pacific Ring of Fire is extremely active now. Oh, yeah, because there's some stuff going on. We're literally in the days of Allah, like the messenger pointed out on page 82 of Our Savior's Arrive, between the years 2012 and 2032. And it's going to increase up until that time. Okay, Karasu Baraka Muhammad says also Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan Kareem, brother Karasu. We appreciate, yeah, indeed. Let's see. We're going to get to Ramadan. We're going to get into that another time. But anyway.
Absolutely. Because absolutely, you know what I mean? Just to make one aspect clear pertaining to Ramadan and us, the most honorable when you see Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam of 1400 years ago, and he manifested when he came, he was a sign of what our messenger would do here. And what we learn is that when he came, he changed the direction of prayer. Not only did he change the direction of prayer, he changed the original fasting month, which was the month of Ashar at that time period. However, he went a little bit further and he allowed for them to follow the new fasting, which was an old fasting regimen that had got conducted or introduced into Islam, which comes from a solar calendar. Inside of the book entitled Encyclopedia of Islam, it declares that the word Ramadan actually is a borrow over from when it was a solar calendar, not a lunar one. So during that same time period, Prophet Muhammad allowed for the following of the Sunnah, for which was following the old fast, which was the month of Ashar, and the present one, that the old one, which was still being presented again in the form of the Ramadan, which eventually will become the lunar calendar. Even though the Quran never mentions anything about a lunar calendar and the sighting of a moon for the fasting to begin, but people chose to accept hadith in order to follow it. However, what you had during that time period when the messenger came, he made his month of Ramadan, which was the month of December, fard or obligatory to his followers. And then he allowed for us, if we so chose, to practice the Sunnah, which was the fast used by the rest of the Islamic world. So that was considered Sunnah to us, which was optional, and the fast of December was considered to be fard or obligatory. Just wanted to say that. And there's a reason behind that. There's a serious reason behind that, which eventually we will go into detail about, of the original calendar of Ramadan, which this is definitely not it. That is being practiced by the Islamic world today.
It's something I would add to that I would even go as far as to say that even when he it's a debate going on right now between followers of the messenger who say that when he was speaking to them, when he was saying, if you take the fast of Ramadan with them, you are doing the right thing until this evil world vanishes. I'm paraphrasing in How to Eat to Live. It's been said that the you that he was speaking to were the black Christians, and take the fast with them was referring to his followers. And I did some research on that. When he actually made that statement, it was in the month of December. It was from an article, an Old Muhammad Speaks article. I can't remember the exact date, but he made that statement in the month of December. We're going to get into that, though. I'm glad you brought that up, because thank you, Karasa Barack Muhammad, for bringing up that, because we actually, myself and Khalil, even Minister Alif, we got several builds on Ramadan all throughout. They're in different places on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even Brother Dr. Ali Muhammad, he built on that same science and presented it first in that particular way, in order to go into deeper inside of that study. It's just that when we understand that we are the new Islam, we are exactly that. That's why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, during the commemoration of Muhammad Mosque number 2, or Temple number 2, when Brother Minister James Shahbaz stood up to pray, he faced east. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad physically stood up and physically faced west, and said, no longer will we turn in that direction. So it was the changing of direction of prayer, and it was also the changing of the month of Ramadan, or the fast, in accordance with us here, which is beyond just trying to keep us away from eating, celebrating holidays and things of that nature. It's a little bit deeper than that. When we really understand the science of it, and we understand astronomy, which is very important, because if we get back to our ancient Asiatic calendars, then we will really understand why the month of December is so important in the month of fast. And that is the time period when the real night of power takes place. And that is the alignment of the sun with a star, which is clearly cited in Surah 53.
Al-Najm mentions the star by name.
It's clearly cited. If we're talking about that at the event, that the reason why we are fasting is the event of a section of the Quran, or ayah of the Quran being revealed, then that entire surah is talking about that. And it begins on purpose talking about the star as it sets. It specifically begins like that, pointing us to a star, and then it goes into the discussion of the revelation of the Quran being revealed. It's there for a reason. So it's up to us.
That's a fact. We'll go through some of these comments, and we're going to go through some more. We got more heat. I'm going to just blaze through it now, myself and Khalil. So Majestic Son Allah says, peace to the gods. Peace, Almighty, and thank you for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for contributing. We're going to run through some more of these comments. 99 Al-Fali Waquan. Pardon me if I botch your name up. He says there's a volcano.
There's a
you read the God.
volcano there in Alaska that was dormant for 10,000 years, and now it's on alert status.
Hmm.
That's heavy, but I would think that's because of the white folk up there digging and doing things that they don't want nobody else to know.
Hmm. Hmm.
They
Yeah,
up
what
there
y'all
messing
looking
with,
for?
yeah, they messing with some ancient things up there, and they doing things that they don't want anybody else to know. That's all.
Right. Right. Okay. So 99 Al Fali Wakwan again. He says Joaquin. He says Edgecombe volcano in Alaska has been dormant for 800 years and is experiencing swarms and harmonic tremors now.
That's heavy.
All these things. Listen, these comments that people are sharing. Like I said, don't just take them on face value. Do some research on these things. 'Cause I'm going to do some research on these things, and I can pretty much guarantee you that we're going to run into some stuff that's going to be like mind blowing and mind opening. You know.
And I wanted to be known. We're not knocking anybody that follows, that Ramadan.
No, not at all.
We're just talking from a historical perspective and
Right.
dealing with our ancient calendars. And if we dealing with everything that we have done has been based upon astronomical foundations. That is our history as Black people. Everything. This is how come the message say our history is written in the stars, or we are born according to the life of planets, meaning everything within these teachings, almost everything has its direction to the study of the stars.
Right.
It's just logical to research the astronomical foundation of a tradition to find its truth.
Right.
It's just that simple. And when you search that history of that astronomical foundation, then you will understand that 99% of the Islamic world is following a calendar based off of hadith and not based off of ancient astronomy.
I'm going to actually show some Quranic verses that bear witness to what we're saying. And I also want to say this. I'm going to say this for the record, that as civilized men, we respect everyone's right to practice and to believe as they believe. I respect people's religions. I respect people's choice to follow what they follow, because if this is what vibes with them and this is what they feel or even know is best for them, because we're all on different vibes. You know what I'm saying? There's many ways to get to 7. Ultimately, you want to get to 7. You know what I mean? The wise know what I'm talking about. There's many different ways to get to 7. So I respect that. Me personally, I have close brethren that are Orthodox, or as they would say, Sunni, traditional Muslims. I have close brethren that are FOI. I have close brethren that are gods. I have close brethren that are Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? I even have some brethren that are not necessarily religious per se. They're just righteous. You know what I mean? So I respect everyone's, as civilized men, we are taught, and we want to respect everyone's faith and traditions. We want to get out of the idea of disrespecting people because they have a faith or a belief system that may be different from yours. Part of being civilized is respecting others' refinery. What does it mean in civilization? One having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, and refinement is not savage in the pursuit of happiness. It's right inside our lessons. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And that's interesting when we're dealing with the history, because we have always been tolerant as a people.
Right.
As far as each other religious realities, it's not until the more recent future, recent present, that you have seen a lack of tolerance of different people, religious beliefs, and things of that nature, which is dangerous. Our messenger toward us that he was laying the foundation for the building of a universal knowledge.
Right.
That's a universal knowledge.
Right.
That means that he did not want us to stay, as they would say, stuck and not be able to apply the teachings in a realistic manner on a universal scale, because you cannot speak to the people unless you study everything, because our people come from every walks of life, right? And I think that that's very important,
Yeah, very. Yeah, we've always gotten along historically, different faiths and stuff. We respected. We got along in peace. You know what I'm saying? Karasu Baraka Muhammad says the Virgin, the Scale, and the Scorpion. Yeah, we was on that subject earlier. Look at those 12 signs, or the 12 months And because each of these months are represented by an avatar on the Asiatic calendar, they're also represented by a cosmic element. Remember, fire, earth, fire, air, water, and earth, from the highest to lowest vibrations. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So these elements, again, are what the wise amongst our people, the gods, use in their judgment. When I say judgment, I'm not talking about the end of the world per se. I'm talking about decision making, their judgment. So some people would just go, oh, I don't feel like doing this today. That won't be a good idea. And some people use mathematics, and some people use astronomy, and some
Absolutely.
people use cosmology to bring about the best results. Timing is everything. The messenger said in the Theology of Time that the origin of our time calculations is 78 trillion years ago. He said that was the beginning of our sun. Time is basically the earth, it's the motion of the earth, whether it's on its own axis, doing that 24-hour rotation, which is divided into 24, which is hours, the hours divided by minutes, minutes divided by seconds. Or if it's in its yearly rotation, meaning its orbit around the sun, or if it's in its Quran or its 25,000 year history, which is the precession of the equinoxes. All these rotations are caused by the sun's light traveling at the speed of 186,000 miles per second, striking the earth at its equator. So time is literally produced by the sun's light touching the earth. What were you saying, God?
No, I was just digging your build on that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love when the lessons and degrees being spit. That's all.
Oh yeah, indeed. Because we show it. It's not a mystery, man. Everything is real. God is real. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to some more of these comments. 99 Al Filey Wakane. Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name. He says the Cascade volcanoes and the Three Sisters volcanoes are all reawakening now, just like we are. Those volcanoes, that's symbolic to us, God.
Absolute.
Rasul Baraka Muhammad says the water bear. Okay, he was following us earlier. Pardon for bringing up some of these comments late. Sometimes we get into it, and I had to come to the comments later. So Rasul Baraka Muhammad was going through the signs. Filey Wakane says the Cascadia subduction zone is preparing to unzip. In March 2022, there were over 10,000 earthquake tremors. Wow. Rasul Baraka Muhammad says, interesting. Napalm Jaquan, the God is back. From YouTube, he says, yes, scientists are now bearing witness to the teachings of an internal explosion producing the moon, as the Earth and moon are isotopically identical and couldn't be formed by a planetary collision. Facts.
Absolute.
They show that
That's
the
right.
isotopes, they're exact, that they're the same. You know? See, Karasu Block Muhammad, Scorpion, who's deaf. Filey Wakane says, yes, the days of Allah correspond with the magnetic reversal process. Okay. Let me see. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, Ramadan is actually supposed to be around November into December. Actually, yeah, you're right. We showed that on the screen earlier. The original Ramadan prior to 638 AD. We have to remember, the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not practice traditions on the Hijra Islamic lunar calendar, because this calendar was instituted 6 years after his death. So we have to ask ourselves a question. Okay, then what calendar, where did he practice Ramadan? And according to my research, it was a lunar solar calendar, lunar calendar along the Nile Valley, the same one that we're going through today.
Absolute.
Yeah. Let's see. So the star of Sirius, Karasu Baraka Muhammad, he then goes on to say, thank you, Brother Maliki.
No problem, Brother God. Man, thank you for going back up there and showing what the exact months were. Thank you,
yes,
sir.
Sir. Yes, sir. He then says, I hear a lot of Muslims say your fast isn't complete if you don't pray. I think niyah and intent is everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the thing is, the purpose of a fast is you want to get yourself into an elevated spiritual state. So that's like, why not put the cherry on top, you know?
And me personally, I don't mind people fasting whenever they choose to fast. I fast all the time.
Right.
And it's just for the cleansing period and for the development of will. You know,
right.
My thing is just that when we enter into these things, we cannot enter them from a religious perspective, but more from a scientific perspective. Because if we don't move to them from a scientific perspective, then we are moving just like the rest of the Islamic world, and we are not them.
Right.
We are not them. We are the new Islam.
Right.
And that's it. So we're not them. What we do may not be understood. And it's okay. We can understand them. They don't need to necessarily understand us. But to make them understand us, we have to understand the sciences that belongs to us and our ancient systems that belong to us, so that we don't enter into these things thinking that somebody is giving us something new. All of these rituals and all of that come from us. Salat comes from us. Positions of prayer come from us. All of that is us. Nobody has coming and divining and giving something back to us. It's us. So we have to understand that as the gods, period. And when we do it from that perspective, we'll stop believing that because we hear brothers from scholars from the East and all of that talking, that they are giving us something so deep and so complex. It's not deep and it's not complex. It's mixed, it's watered down, and then given back to us in the form of a religion. And it's crazy, but we need to know why we do things. Everything we have done has a scientific, biological reason.
And serves a scientific and biological purpose. Yep.
Absolutely. So if I go and I do Salat, I don't follow that, do it before the dawn and all of that stuff. So they want to get out of it looking like that you worship in the sun. We are. Every position in Salat is a position of the sun.
Yeah.
Every position.
It's literally all based on the sun. Yeah, it literally is based on position of the position of the sun in relation to the Earth's magnetic field. The position of the sun in different times of the day has the Earth's magnetic field is stronger or more intense, as we would say, in different times of the day, month and year. Which is why these observances and rituals are timed along certain timings. It's all about the Earth's magnetic field, how it directly relates to us, mind, body, and soul, etc., etc. Okay, let's go through some more of these comments. We're going to blaze right through it. Raja Shabbat says they're digging for resources. 99 Al Filey Wakane says Cascadia subduction zone will experience a 9.0 or greater anytime. It's long overdue. Oh, get out of the area, y'all. Karasu Baraka Muhammad says, yes, sir.
Peace, God.
And Filey Wakane says it's not the color man fracking or drilling. There are changes occurring within the Earth's iron core, weakening our magnetosphere.
Absolutely. Very true. But that occurs every time that we are about to enter in what you would call a polar shift.
Right.
Whenever there's about to become a pole shift, that begins to happen inside of the Earth's magnetic field, electromagnetic field center. So you have to understand that that time is coming. That usually occurs every 2,160 years. So it's natural that will come about.
Right.
And that's what's occurring now.
Right. So now let's get to some more Quranic ayats. Where were we at last? The last one, let's see, it says this was 697. It says, it is he who makes the stars. Oh, not that one. Not that one. I think it was this. We're going to get to that. Oh, not that one. Let's see. Okay. Oh, it's not that one. It wasn't that one. Let's see. Bear with me, y'all. Let me see. Oh, I just had it, actually. Well, we'll go through it again. All right, well, let's just go through what we have here. Yusuf Ali, I remember reading this earlier. It says, it is he who made the sun to be a shining glory, misspelling, and the moon to be a light of beauty, and measured out stages for, oh, that's the wrong one. Sure is. Let me see. There he goes. It is he who made the sun to be a shining glory, and the moon to be a light of beauty, and measured out stages for it, that ye may know the number of years and the count of time. No wise did Allah create this, but in truth and righteousness. Thus doeth he explain his signs in detail for those who understand. So this says that we're supposed to use the sun and the moon in measuring time. Let's go to another ayat, right? Not this one. Okay, there it is. That's it. It said this is Surah 696. This is what I was looking for the first time. This is Yusuf Ali translation. It says, "He it is that cleaveth the daybreak from the dark. He makes the night for rest and tranquility, and the sun and the moon for the reckoning of time." See, the sun and the moon. I'm gonna get into the lunar thing now in the Shabbat. "Such is the judgment and ordering of him, the exalted in power, the omniscient." Judgment. You know, when you're in a court, you're dealing with a judge, he issues a judgment and an order, right? It says, "He it is that cleaveth the daybreak from the dark, and makes the night for rest and tranquility, and the sun and the moon for the reckoning of time. Such is the judgment and the ordering of him, the exalted in power, the omniscient." So our forefathers that literally wrote the history of Quran that they saw us making, this is a judgment and an order from them. These people exalted in power, they're omnipotent, they're omniscient, they were wise, all wise, you know. So it's an instruction. They knew we were going to fall and that we were going to stray away from civilization and stray away from our divine state, but they also saw us rising. And this is why, again, if you notice, the North Pole at the time of the beginning of this Asiatic calendar in the year 1, which is 13,086 BC, the North Pole was pointing in the constellation Virgo. Again, that's dealing with the Virgin. They also knew that during this time period, they saw the coming of the Mahdi, or in Christianity, they would say the Christ or the Messiah, and that he would resurrect fallen man, starting with the lowest, most fallen man, the so-called American Negro, with the restrictive laws on Islam. Now, I could tell you this. At the end of the day, people can believe what they want to believe. But what really determines how civilized the people are their dietary practices and their mating practices. One of the main laws in Islam, particularly what Master Fard Muhammad came to give us, was there's no swine eating. Of course, how to eat to live is a huge thing, but that main law, no swine eating and no fornication and adultery. In other words, no messing with hoes. You know what I'm saying? When we get that down pat, I know some brothers get offended when I talk about that. I had brothers stop talking to me. I guess they took it personally. Maybe the woman that they met was from the streets and he cleaned her up and she's still hoeing around. I don't know. But anyway, when we actually put these things into practice, like my brother said earlier, Khalil, he said, he quoted the messenger saying that the so-called American Negro of today is not an example of what the original man was. You know? So the original man
did the discussion off the table, yup.
Yeah, this is off the table. Yup, off the records. We didn't mate and breed with, prostitutes and harlots and fall in love with, because she has some good power you or nothing like that. We literally, we kept we protected the chastity of our daughters, of our women. We've married virgins. When women, when they became widows and stuff like that, she's a good woman. She's allowed to remarry. Sometimes divorces happen. We get it, etc. But we wasn't out here breeding with Latasha Nikwa from down the street, who just giving it up to everybody. We actually had a civilized mating practices. We actually had it where, let's say, for example, a young, responsible brother was interested in one of Khalil's daughters. So he wouldn't just go put his arms around her. She walking down the street. He don't even know her from a hole in the wall. Yo, mom, what's good? Let me holler at you. You got a minute? No, that was the uncivilized way. The civilized way he would do it is he would see the woman, or he'll know of her. He'd approach Brother Khalil, which would be her male family leader, her father. And he would express interest in his daughter. So, okay, they would talk Khalil, and if Khalil has sons or brothers, Khalil would interview the brothers, see if he's fit, find out his family, find out, etc., etc. If he agreed to give his daughter away to this man, this brother would come with a bride price, whatever that was, whatever they agreed to. It was gold, silver, cows, cash, chicken, land, I don't know, whatever they agreed to, money, and what have you. And no, this wasn't prostitution because it wasn't a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and go about your business into the next customer. This is a bride price. That bride price also would incentivize Khalil to protect the chastity of his daughters growing up, right? And it would also contribute towards what we would call the generational wealth. Because Khalil, let's say he had 10 daughters, I'm just throwing this out there, and he gave them all away the right way. You know, now Khalil has, let's say each bride price, I'm throwing it out there, was $25,000. So he has $250,000 right there. Maybe he converted to gold or silver. That's generational wealth he's going to pass down to his eldest son or his sons, or whichever sons would go by his will and continue doing the righteous thing that he set forth for them. And it will just add on from generation to generation. So this is actual generational wealth being passed down, but it was also generational health. The root in the word generation is gene. So him keeping his daughters upright, making sure they eat the right foods, protecting them from harlotry and whoredom. This is protecting their gene health, and this would protect the gene pool of the people.
Less than 20, about 2.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What's the most name of this?
We hear somebody in your background, Khalil. At the moment, I don't know if they're still there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, we was hearing your background, but you there? You good?
I'm all right.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I didn't mean to get far off into that, but this was the civilization that we practice. This was high level civilization that we practice, that we're getting back to, and that we have to be patient with ourselves in getting back to that. Because when Master Farah Muhammad came and found us, he didn't find us. He didn't choose us because we were the most civilized. He chose us because we were the lowest down, and he wanted to make a whole new universe out of a new world, out of a new people that would be considered no people, you know? So going back, this ayat that I just quoted from, where it says that he makes the night for rest and tranquility, and the sun and the moon for the reckoning of time. This shows that the calendar system, or our way of telling and reckoning time, is supposed to be based on the sun and include the moon as well, you know. Let's see. And he also says, it is he who made the stars as beacons for you, that you may guide yourselves. Listen to this. With their help through the dark spaces of land and sea. We detail our signs for people who know. Now, of course, we can take that literal, meaning it's dark. And I know that this star Sirius is going to be in the south. So if I'm going to head south, if I got to go south, I got to go in that direction. If I'm going to head north or east, I got to go in that direction based on the star. However, land and sea, dark spaces of land and sea, land, sea in one sense represents people, right? In one sense. Land also, in another sense, represents money, material, values, business. You get what I'm trying to say? It's earth, it's business, it's material, it's the solid things. So, you know, he says here, again, it is he who makes the stars as beacons for you, that you may guide yourselves with their help through the dark spaces of land and sea, of business and personal relations, business and interpersonal relations. Land and sea also deals with jurisdiction and commerce, you know. Sea represents maritime jurisdiction. Land represents legal or lawful, rather organic law, organic government. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to this when we truly understand. So I just wanted to add that to it. So let's see. Oh, the lessons. Now we're gonna get into this. We're gonna close out and let me get into some history. Okay. Question and answer. Number 35, this is understanding power, and 1 through 40, lost found Muslim lesson number 2. It says, tell us the exact date of the expiration of the devil's civilization. Answer, expired in the year 1914. Now, remember what I stated and Khalil stated earlier about year 1 in the Asiatic world, corresponding with the Gregorian year 13,086 BC. In that year 1, the North Pole was pointed at Virgo, which represents the Virgin. Okay. Now, 13,086 BC. If you want to determine what year it is in the Asiatic world, we simply add 13,086 to whatever the Gregorian year is. So right now, the year is 2022. If we add 13,086 to 2022, it brings us to the year 15,108. This is why we're in the year 15,108 in the Asiatic world. If we haven't passed, and this is a law that you have to remember, if we have not passed the spring equinox, the messenger makes this very clear about the equinoxes. If we have not passed the spring equinox, then we subtract the year. We are not in that new Asiatic year yet. We're only in the new year after, once we pass the spring equinox. So if we add 13,086 to 1914, it brings us to exactly 15,000. The messenger said that the devil was to rule between the years 9,000 and the year 15,000 in our Asiatic calendar, the 9,000th year to the 15,000th year. So in the Asiatic world, when it reached the year 15,000, this corresponds with 1914 in the Gregorian calendar, which was the expiration date of the devil's civilization. Some Christian theologians, particularly Jehovah's Witnesses and others, also bear witness to the year 1914 as being the expiration date of the devil's civilization. You know, expired, let's not be spooky. Expiration date don't mean it's going to snap and disappear at that moment. You can buy a carton of milk, right? And if you buy a carton of milk and you put an expiration date on it and you keep it in the refrigerator, right? Sometimes on that expiration date, it's still good. Sometimes a couple of days past the expiration date, it's still good. It doesn't go sour yet. Expiration date basically means that it will be at its peak up until this date. From then on, it can sort of start decomposing or going down or coming apart. Now, depending on how it's preserved, how it's refrigerated, the decomposition process can be slower or it can be quicker. Because our people were so mentally dead to the knowledge of self, we were cold, we were dead. This actually refrigerated the devil's civilization, and it actually kind of keeps it, even though the expiration date was 1914, the process of his world falling has been a slow but gradual and visible process. But it's been slow because the messenger said our people have been slow to wake up to the knowledge of self. Whereas a lot of us are still mentally dead. And when you're mentally dead, you're still cold, and that rigor mortis is in. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. If we go to another lesson. Now, pay close attention to this one right here. Pay very close attention to this. Make sure I don't have any mistakes on this. Okay, it says, tell us the exact number of years. Oops, that's the wrong one. Tell us the exact number of years, months, and days of the devil being birthed on the planet. Answer, 6,020 years. That's the number of years. 72,241 months. That's the number of months. And 2,197,351 days at the date of this writing, which is Tuesday, February 12th, 1934. Now, I want to show you something. I'm going to show you some history, right? Okay. Tuesday, February 20th, 1934. If we calculate, let's make sure I have this correctly here, right? No, not this one. Okay, 50 days from February 20th, and you can look this up on the calendar, brings you to January 1st, right? So if we subtract 50, remember the messenger said that the devil's been on the planet at the time of that writing, February 20th, 1934, for a total of 2,197,351 days, right? That was Tuesday, February 20th, 1934. If we subtract back 50 days and bring us back to January 1st of that year, the devil would have been on the planet for 2,197,301 days at the date of that writing. Okay? Now, if we divide 2,197,301 days, January 1st, 1934, by 365, it brings us to a whole and exact and even 6,020 years. This means that if you can divide that exactly by 365, and the number comes out to a whole number, this means that the devil's born date, or the date that commences the completion of the grafting process, would have been observed on a January, or celebrated, that is, on a January the 1st. Now, here's the thing. It's not that January the 1st is that deep. You know what I'm saying? Because in our world, I'm going to show you. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to show you January the 1st. Where is it? I'm going to show you where January the 1st is, okay? January the 1st in the Asiatic world, let's see, would be actually... would be the 11th day of the 10th month, which is Al-Shahar Al-Shir, Al-Shahar, right? The 11th day of Al-Shahar Al-Shir, the 11th day of the 10th month. It wasn't that, it was just the 11th day of the 10th month. It was no big deal. However, on that date, you know, you did have that date, the Earth does make a 180-degree alignment with the Sun and the star system Sirius, so Sirius A, right? So it was an important date, but it wasn't a new year or anything. It was just a date of a particular alignment. So on the 11th day of the 10th month in the Asiatic world, that completed the process of the grafting of the devil. However, it was this man here. So when did that become the first day of the year, or the new year, so to speak? It was this man right here, Julius Caesar. Take a good look. Julius Caesar was the one that instituted the Julian calendar. And this Julian calendar was the first calendar that started the year on the 11th day of the 10th month in the Asiatic world. So they began their new year on that day, and they decided to call that the first day of the year, and they called that month January. It was Julius Caesar. Now, of course, the calendar went out of style for a certain while, and then you had, bear with me, after Julius Caesar, you had in 1582 Pope Gregory XIII. He reinstituted the Julian calendar with a few changes. You know, it also started on the 1st of January, or the devil's birth date, which is really the 11th day of the 10th month. And he instituted this in the year 1582. Mind you, this is after Columbus and everything. This is after 1555. This is after all of that. So they knew that they were going to take over the world, so they had to put the original people, everybody in the world, on their time. Mind you, he who controls your time controls your activity and controls your motion, because time is motion. So as long as you're operating on the devil's time, your motion is dictated by the devil. This is why we have to get back to our original time systems, our divine time systems. You know what I'm saying? And this is the Asiatic calendar. Now, I know some may ask, how could they get a hold of this Asiatic calendar? Well, you see the ticker on the bottom? You can cash at Universal Academy. You can for $50, you can get a printed copy of the Asiatic calendar, 15,108 plus shipping. In fact, $50 plus shipping. Now there's different shipping prices. If you want it 2 to 3 days, if you want it in a week, if you want it, you can also get it free without shipping. It'll take a little longer, you know. But you can just for 50 USD, you can cash app Universal Academy, or you could just hit me up, hit my Facebook, message me, inbox me, DM me on Instagram, or you could just email princeallah@duck.com, princeallah@duck.com for information. So I wanted to get into the science of Shabbat. The messenger said, in message to the black man, I'm going to read this. Shabbat Shalom. This is a full moon day, y'all. You know what I'm saying? The messenger says, in message to the black man, just bear with me 1 second. We'll find this quote. Okay. He says on page 31. Okay. He says, it is Allah's will. It is Allah, God's will and purpose, that we shall know ourselves. Therefore, he came himself to teach us the knowledge of self. Who is better knowing of who we are than God himself? He has declared that we are descendants of the Asian black nation and of the tribe of Shahbaz. You might ask, who is this tribe of Shahbaz? Originally, they were the tribe that came with the earth, or this part, 66 trillion years ago, when a great explosion on our planet divided it into two parts. One we call Earth and the other Moon. This was done by one of our scientists. Oh, let me take this quote off, take this image off while I'm quoting the messenger. Nothing being spooky, but you know, I don't want y'all thinking that he said this. Okay, this is the messenger saying, it's not Pope Gregory. Okay, he says, you might ask, who is this tribe of Shahbaz? Originally, they were the tribe that came with the Earth, or this part, 66 trillion years ago, when a great explosion on our planet divided it into two parts. One we call Earth and the other Moon. This was done by one of our scientists, God, who wanted the people to speak one language, one dialect for all, but was unable to bring this about. He decided to kill us all by destroying our planet, but he failed. We were lucky to be on this part of the Earth, which did not lose its water in the mighty blasting away of the part called Moon. So, let's see. He further goes on to say, we, the tribe of Shahbaz, I'm going to tie this into Shabbat. The tribe of Shahbaz, says Allah God, were the first to discover the best part of our planet to live on, the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and the present seat of the holy city, Mecca, Arabia. The origin of our kinky here, says Allah, came from one of our dissatisfied scientists 50,000 years ago, who wanted to make all of us tough and hard in order to endure the life of the jungles of East Asia, Africa, and to overcome the beasts there. But he failed to get the others to agree with him. Let me see. He took his family and moved into the jungle to prove to us that we could live there and conquer the wild beasts, and have. So, being the first and smartest scientists, listen carefully, being the first and smartest scientists on the deportation of our moon, and the one who suffered most of all, Allah God has decided to place us on the top with a thorough knowledge of ourselves and his guidance. So he says that the tribe of Shahbaz, being the first and smartest scientists on the deportation of our moon. Now, the messenger did not, I never saw him mention or tie in Shabbat with Shahbaz, but according to my research, the origins of the celebration of the Shabbat, or the observance of Shabbat, you got, it's practiced in different ways. You have some people who observe it strictly on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, what they refer to as the Sabbath. It's interesting because in Arabic, the word for seven, the number seven is Sabah. Yeah, Sabbath, seventh day, Sabbath, Saturday, etc. In Latin, Saturday is Sabado in Spanish. There are also people who practice the Lunar Shabbat, meaning they observe the Sabbath on full moons. Let me see, I'm going to show it. They observe it on full moons and first quarter and last quarter positions. Like, for example, where are we right now? Let's go to our current month. We are the first month we are in, which is Shahar Wahad. Right now, today, this is the 27th day of Wahad Shahar, which means month one in the year 15,108 in the Asiatic world. Right? As you look carefully, you see it says 27. It's Saturday. That's a full moon. So those who observe the Lunar Shabbat many who observe the Lunar Shabbat observe it on full moons days, first quarter days, new moon days, or third quarter days. Those who observe the Lunar Shabbat would be this Saturday, last Saturday, and prior to that, 2 Fridays beforehand. Some people do it only on Saturdays. I respect people's traditions, as I said before, and people's practices. The way we designed this calendar, we designed it as to not exclude anyone who wants to practice the Shabbat the way they want to. If you want to practice it, the traditional or the mainstream Shabbat on Saturdays, you can do that. If you want to practice the Lunar Shabbat, which is, the days are pointed out, the third quarter, new moons, first quarters, and full moons. So I personally believe that the observation of Shabbat is a celebration of the tribe of Shahbaz surviving the explosion of our moon, the deportation of the moon from the earth, and we celebrate in its different quarters, etc., etc. We do know that on nights of the full moon, like tonight, pay attention, y'all, it's a beautiful Saturday, the earth's magnetic field is more electrically conducive because of full moon. Not only does it attract or pull more salt water from the seas into the Earth's atmosphere, however, the Earth's atmosphere is more ionized. It reflects more sun's light, which is ions, into the Earth's atmosphere at its highest because the moon is full. So let's expect an exciting night. It's also a big fight tonight, y'all. Big boxing match. But anyway, I ain't need to go through all of that. Khalil, if there's anything you want to add on, if not, let me know. I'm gonna run through these months and close this out. This is
No, I want you to go ahead and build through.
okay. So this is the first month, y'all. This is Wahad Shahar, which means month one or the first month in Arabic. In this year, 15,108, it corresponds with the Gregorian calendar of March 21st through April 22nd, 2022. That's that would be the first month. Month two, which is Al-Shahar Ithnani. Ithnain is two in Arabic. Al-Shahar is month. It would correspond month two in the Asiatic world, or 15,108 in the Asiatic world, corresponds with the Gregorian April 21st and May 20th. Again, the zodiac referred to this. The Greeks referred to this as Taurus. The first one referred to Aries, and which is a fire element. Let's go back to that, which is why it's color coded red. That's the first month, Shahad or Wahad Shahar. The second month, month two. That would be the Greeks call it Taurus. It corresponds with the earth element. This is why it's color coded green. It's from April 21st to May 20th. Month three in the Asiatic world, Al-Shahar Al-Arabi. Oh, that's not month three, that's month four. I'm tripping. Let me go back to month three. I just skipped it. Bear with me, y'all. This wasn't in exact order, but let me find out. I might have. Oh, okay, I might have not included that or skipped that. But anyway, month three, this is not month three. Month three, I didn't include that in here. But if we, I'm going to tell y'all when it is right now. Bear with me a second. For those who don't want to purchase it, I think it's a good idea to purchase it just to have, you know what I'm saying? Month three is Al-Shahar Al-Thalith, which would be correspond from May 20th to June 21st. That's a sacred month, which ends in the summer solstice. I actually had it here somewhere. It's a sacred month. The reason why it's a sacred month, it ends in the summer solstice. It corresponds from May 21st to June 21st. The Greeks refer to that as Gemini. It's let me see. It's an air. It corresponds with the air element, and therefore it's color coded blue. Let's see. Month four. Let's see where we are. Here is month four right here, which is Al-Shahar Al-Arabi. Right. Let's see. I hope I pronounced that right. Corresponds with June 22nd to July 22nd. Again, the Greeks, they took our information of our people in that now whole holy area, Jerusalem area. They took our information. They called it Cancer. But it's a water element and it's color coded blue. And it corresponds from June 22nd to July 22nd. That's month four. Month five, which is Al-Shahar Al-Khamis, Al-Shahar Al-Khamis. Khamsa is five in Arabic, right? This is also that's actually Leo, right? It's month five. Corresponds with the Greek Leo, and it begins on July 23rd to August 23rd. That's of this year, in the year 15,108 in the Asiatic world. It's color-coded red for fire, again corresponding with what the Greeks refer to as Leo, but it's actually Al-Shahar Khamsi, the fifth month. Month six, oops, not that one. Here it is. Month six is a sacred month. Al-Shahar Al-Sadis. Sita in Arabic is six, but Al-Shahar Al-Sadis is month six, or the sixth month, right? In Arabic, that's what it means. The Greeks call it Virgo. It's an earth element, which is why it's color-coded green. And the reason why it's a sacred month is because it ends in the autumn equinox, which is September 23rd. So September 23rd of 2022, this year, this is the autumn equinox, or in other words, the 31st day of month 6 in the Asiatic world. It ends with the autumn equinox. So because it ends with an equinox, mind you, there are 4 sacred months. 2 end with equinoxes, 2 end with solstices. I showed you how they correspond earlier. This is an earth element. Okay, now, month 7, bear with me, y'all. I don't think I included all of these here, but just bear with me a moment. No, not that one. 6. Bear with me. Yeah, if there's anything you want to add on to in the meantime, you can. Or if anybody have any questions, I see a whole bunch of questions popped up. We're going to get to those in a second. Let's see. No, it's not that one. Nope. Is this it? Yeah. Yeah, this is month 7. Al-Shahar Al-Sabi, right? Sabi, Al-Sabi, or Al-Sabi. Saba'ah, that's actually 7 in Arabic. So Al-Shahar Al-Saba'i, this is actually month 7 of the 7th month, which is what it means. And it corresponds to September 24th to October 23rd on the Gregorian calendar of this year. Month 8, bear with me. That one I might not have included month 8 there, and it's all right. It's all good. But month 8, I'll tell you what it is. You can take down notes. Is Al-Shahar Ithnamin. Al-Shahar Ithnamin. Ithnain is 8 in Arabic. Al-Shahar Ithnamin means the 8th month. And it's the Greeks refer to it as Scorpio, so to speak. But the actual pronunciation of it, the month is Al-Shahar Ithnain. It's the 8th month. It corresponds with October 24th to November 22nd in the Gregorian world. It's color-coded blue. It's not what you see on the screen here. This one I didn't include due to me rushing, but it's color-coded blue, and it corresponds with the element water, right? Not this one that I'm showing here. That's the 7th month. Now, if we go to month 9, the 9th month, right? This is a sacred month. Why? Because it ends in the winter solstice, one of the solstices. Al-Shahar Al-Tasi. Al-Tasi. Tissa in Arabic is 9, right? So Al-Shahar Al-Tasi means the 9th month, or month 9 in Arabic. In the Gregorian world, corresponds on the Gregorian calendar with November 23rd to December 21st. It ends in the winter solstice. It's color-coded red for the element fire. This is the original Ramadan, the original 9th month, right? November 23rd, December 21st, it ends in the winter solstice, the night of power, which, again, as Khalil, we touched on that earlier, when Khalil touched on that. It's color-coded red. Even with the color-coded months, it also tells us what we should eat more. That's another topic for another thing. Like I said, there's so much wisdom in this Asiatic calendar. Our ancestors put so much wisdom in it that if we go by it and we're on our own time again, we literally can take the devil off this planet. What does it say in our lessons? Like, literally. It says right there inside our lessons. It says, question answer number 39, understand and born. Now tell us, would you hope to live to see that day the gods will take the devil into hell in the very near future? The answer to that, yes. I fast and pray Allah in the name of his prophet, W.D. Fard, that I see the hereafter when Allah, in his own good time, takes the devil off our planet. So we're not going to take the devil off our planet on the devil's time. It don't work that way. We have to literally be in our own good time. And as I said, the color codes, the cosmic meanings, the animal meaning, is so much wisdom and science and timing in this Asiatic calendar that once we're on our own time, we'll literally be unstoppable. And time also represents motion. Time also represents land. 25,000 years, a year to every mile. So we're talking about land. So when we're on our own time and we're living on our own land and growing our own food and doing for self, literally, you take the devil off your planet. Literally, it makes you invincible. You become self-sufficient and independent. That's literally being on your own time. I also want to say before I close out for brothers that want to get into, or even sisters, women, whoever want to get into business and do for self, listen, that's what I do. You can hit me up. You know what I'm saying? If you need logo, you need website, you need business cards, flyers, printers, you need search engine optimization, SEO, social media ads, Google ads, you need any of that stuff. Banner, yo, that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? You need ideas, help setting up businesses, LLCs, whatever the case is. That's what I do. I'm there to help assist people in doing for self. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's a business for me, but that's what I do. That's month 9. Month 10. You saying something, God? Sorry, I heard something coming from
I'm just listening.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening, God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see if this is month 10. Month 10. Al-Shahar al-Ashir, right? Because Arabic, Ashra is 10. Ashra, right? I hope my Arabic teacher, if she's listening to this, don't laugh at me. You know, I'm still getting the pronunciations down pat. So don't laugh at me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Al-Shahar al-Ashir, right? This is month 10. That's what it means. And in the Asiatic world, that means, and it corresponds with the Gregorian December 22nd to January 20th, right? It's an Earth month, you know, the Greeks call it Capricorn. So the cosmic element is Earth. It's color-coded green. Let's see, month 11. I think here it is right here. Month 11. Al-Ashar al-Hadi Yashir, if I said it right, right?
You're doing good, God.
Yeah. It's month 11. Yeah, I got to work on that. I can read and understand it, but pronunciation, you know what I'm saying? Month 11 in the Asiatic world, the year 15,108 corresponds with January 21st through February 19, 2023, right? It begins on the new moon on a Saturday, you know, which will make it a Shabbat or Sabbath. And it ends on February 19th. That's month 11. The Greeks refer to it as Aquarius. It's an air element, so it corresponds with violet, you know, air element, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have month 12, right? Which that'll be Al-Ashar Ithnani Ashir, if I said it right. And that it begins on February 20th. Interesting date. That's the lesson. The date the messenger answered the questions. 2023, and ends on March 20th, 2023, which is the spring equinox. And then 15,109 begins on that Tuesday, which is the new year that Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. That brings us to the first day of year. The first day of month 1, which is Wahad Shahar, in the year 15,109. That calendar is going to be made available soon as well. But again, we're going to go through some of these comments. We're going to close out, as I didn't want to go over 2 hours. If anybody wants a hard copy of the Asiatic calendar, again, you know, this is $50 plus shipping. But get to me directly. You can Cash App Universal Academy, as you see the ticker going across the bottom of the screen. There are probably some other parts that I wanted to go, but we're going to close this out with some of these comments. Let's see. Let's see. So Raja Shahbaz says, we calculated time from the sun as the messenger teaches. Correct. We definitely touched on that. You know. He also said before that Islam is our natural way of life. Right. When we say Islam, okay. When I say Islam, and this is no disrespect to anybody else, I'm not necessarily talking about religious practice. When I say Islam, I mean Islam. The meaning of the word Islam literally means supreme peace or the peace. And you get supreme peace by just being aligned with your nature and being in accord with nature, which is, if you're original man, you're the supreme being. That means you want to do everything supreme. That means from your dietary law, that means the way you live your life, how you conduct business, your conduct, how you relate to your brethren. You know what I'm saying? How even in times of war, because there's you got to train for war to establish peace. You know, the peace breaker You can't think, oh, I'm going to be peaceful, so I'm going to be a soft flower. Nah, peace has to be maintained. You know what I'm saying? So how you train, all these things, the mate selection, how your women, who you do, all these things. Islam covers all of that, you know. And I don't look at it as religious. Me personally, as religious
Not
practice,
at all.
somebody going to get angry if I do this wrong. I know the cause and effect. I understand cause and effect, and I understand the consequences of violating natural and divine law. How it's going to destroy me. You know what I'm saying?
Because by no means, because you do a ritual, that's not necessarily Islam. And because you might do salat 1,000 times a day, that's not Islam.
Right.
Islam is the natural reality of existence. That's why the messenger taught us, he directed us to Surah 30, Ayah 30. Right. Islam being the nature of creation. The Arabic word for nature is fitra. Fitra is talking about the essence or origin or source of a thing. It is the natural inclination of a thing. It's like if you see a person walking down, an older woman walking down the street in front of you, and she look like she's going to fall, nobody has to teach you to try to grab her and to help her so she doesn't fall. But if you see her fall, to help pick her up or to pick her up. Why? Because the natural source from which the essence of your creation is. So the messenger used terminology like religion, as he stated, pretty much to speak on our level or to not go over people's heads. So we can't look at Islam from a religious perspective. We look at Islam as a natural activity of life, no more than breathing or if I move my finger. That is Islam. And that's what must be not the ritual that is attached to it. That's a cultural hadith and things like that that has been brought into existence. Islam is that you awakened, you breathe. The natural inclination between mind and brain is Islam. The movement of your finger, the heart beating throughout your arterial system is Islam. All of that is Islam. That is something on an external expression where they give us laws and things like that in order to bring us back into living into a conscious developmental stage of evolution as God. So we consider that external aspect of Islam only to bring us back to the natural way of thinking and being as God in person. That's Islam. Other than that, we're not with the religion. That's not what the messenger gave. The messenger said he came to teach us the science, and teach us the science in a theological way. That's what he gave it, in a theological way. But when we understand who and what we are, then that is what we are. Muslim then take on a different connotation. It's not based upon religion. Muslim to me is one of salam, peace, or wholeness.
One wholeness.
That's one whole. That's what it means to me. It is a title, is an attribute of God.
One whole, one complete. And you gotta understand what does it mean to be a whole and complete man? Question and answer one. This is the student enrollment, the foundation of it all. Who is the original man? See, the original thing is the whole thing. You get it whole. You know what I'm trying to say? Sometimes you can add on, you can take away. But if it's original, it's whole. Move salam, one whole, one at peace, one natural. We're talking from a genetic, biological perspective. When the messenger said by nature, just always keep in mind that he meant by genetics or by biology. Who is the original man? Who's this whole man? Answer, the original man. Student enrollment, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. If we truly understand lineage and the science of life, we have no beginning nor ending. There's really no death for the original man. Of course, a body that goes into the ground is never going to come back up in that particular form, although the atoms of that body, once it decomposes, is going to fertilize the soil and feed other things and continue on in life. But hereafter is literally what you leave on earth. Hereafter, you are gone. That's your lineage. You know what I'm saying? You literally live. Think about it. I didn't want to get to too much preaching, but we had to get into this. If we go to question answer number 40, understanding, look, culture cipher, right? Well, being born a culture. What will be your reward in regards to the destruction of the devil? Answer, peace and happiness. I will give all I have and all within my power to see this day, listen carefully, for which I have waited 379 years. 379. Let's go to the supreme mathematics. 379. 3 is understanding. 7 is God. 9 is born. When we understand how God is born through God. God begets God. That God doesn't have a begotten son, or he's not begotten. God begets God. So he doesn't beget anything outside of himself. So Allah is eternal. It's perpetual. You get what I'm trying to say? It's literally that.
And the deep thing about that is the messenger gave the science to that when he said you can't go beyond the limitations of the first God because it came down through you, and he is now in all our persons.
There you go.
There's only one existence, right? Because each of us have genetic memory. We are made up of our mother and our father. Within this, the knowledge for which they have ascertained, the emotions, the trauma for which they have ascertained. This come birth as me. They are also a combination of their mother and their father, and what they have learned, the knowledge that ascertained throughout their genetic memory, that got passed on to them, then that got passed on to me, and that go all the way back in time. So therefore, within the essence of the human being is genetic memory, which means the knowledge of all things for which we have forgotten to be able to tap into. So in reality, when we are looking at things from the perspective and we say that man is God, it's because man is really God. There's only one essence and one being reborn on a constant level, constant stages. So I am the God. I am my father being reborn in the person of me.
And so on and so forth.
That's how we
so on and so forth.
There's no mystery God. There's absolutely none. And we can move any of that spook stuff out of here. We must approach things from a scientific basis.
If we look at the,
go ahead, God.
Yo, I just go ahead. You sparked me, but go ahead, continue. I ain't gonna interrupt you.
Go ahead, God, speak.
If we look at the word Genesis, right? The root of the word Genesis is genes, G-E-N-E-S, or gene, and it talks about lineage. It's so heavy on lineage. It traces you all the way back to the darkness. And darkness covered the face of the deep. We're talking about our lineage going back towards, man, I ain't gonna get too far into that right now, but I will say this. Again, going back to that lesson, I will give all I have within my power to see this day for which I have waited for 379 years. Now, were you as the person in this shell, in this form, this current expression, alive for 379 years? No, you was probably born 1970-something, 1980-something, 1990-something, 1960-something, 2000, 1950-something. Recently, no. But why does it say I have waited for 379 years?
Talk about
Think about this. 379, understanding God, how God is born, understanding God born. That God that's being born is the I. That God that never dies is the I. I live through my lineage. You know what I'm saying? You are your forefathers. You are your descendants. You are your descendants that are not even here yet.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
The originators of the heaven and the earth personified. Right.
Literally.
That's the reality of it.
Let's go to the 99 actual facts. God born, right? What does it say? 79. The black man has no beginning nor ending. He is older than the sun, moon, and the stars. Look, NASA showed this. You can look it up. You know what I'm saying? NASA found building blocks of DNA.
That's right.
The building blocks of man's DNA, human DNA on meteorites, extraterrestrial meteorites outside of space. Think about this. Think about this.
It. That's right.
That's evidence, man. Do you really know who we are and how infinite we really are? You gotta think about these things.
What did our messenger teach when he said that the gods put their life germs in the stars?
Right.
Because the stars germinated life.
Right.
See, that to the out and external world, that appears to be spooky. But when you go into the deeper sciences of the Rosicrucians and all of them, they don't believe in a mystery God.
Right.
They teach that God, that men evolve in time on this planet to become supreme, that they create solar systems and universes.
Right.
They don't believe in no mystery gods.
Right.
And we got to get out of that spooky stuff. We the creators. We are the originators of the heaven and the earth. What was before me Nothing.
Right.
Was I there
Right.
in the beginning? Yes. Who's the creator of the sun? Me. Stars?
Yo.
Me. It's only thing that exists is me. I just personified in multiple aspects of existence.
Right.
But there is only one.
Right.
That
Allah is
the
all
truth
of us,
of
like the
me.
messenger says.
Indeed.
You know,
That's the truth.
okay, Sister Anissa Muhammad says, wonderful bill. Peace. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Anissa Muhammad. You know, we're going to get to the main comments that actually, pardon me if I skip over some, we get to the ones that actually, not just the one word comments, but I'm going to get to the ones that actually, you know, of substance. Anissa Muhammad says, thank you for clarifying that excerpt on page 58 in How to Eat to Live, book 2. For those who don't know who was the them, who the them was referring to, who the messenger, when he's talking about who them, if you fast with them and you're doing the right thing. Yeah, I gotta go back and check, but I had found the article, proof, where he made that statement, and it was in a, I think it was a Muhammad Speaks, if I'm not mistaken, or definitely a newspaper article, and it was in the month of December. So he was, yeah, it was definitely, we won't get into that. Joseph Isaiah Benjamin, that's the brother right there, good brother. He says, peace, power, and blessings unto you all. I'm sorry I caught this podcast late. This is important knowledge to be shared. Absolutely, we definitely, man, it really is, because when you got that knowledge of self, you realize that all these traditions that people practice, all these different righteous faith-based traditions, it all's rooted in self. It all comes from the original people. You know what I'm saying? Faili Joaquin says, Brother Farrakhan's How to Give Birth to a God was about the science of mating. Yeah, it was. It was. Khalil said something earlier about, I'm paraphrasing, where he quoted the messenger saying we seeded the stars with the germ of life, something like that. I'm going to need that quote.
With the germs.
Yes, I'm going to need that quote because I'm writing a book. I got some stuff in there, man.
I've been writing and doing study of mine too. That's the psychological teachings of Yaqub. The psychology of Yaqub is what I'm finishing.
Yeah, we got to put these things out because this stuff is here. Look, now people will say, I had people tell me, well, how come you don't build on Facebook no more? The hell look like putting all these builds on Facebook? What am I gonna do that for when you got either jewel thieves, or you have like people who plagiarize, steal your stuff, or you'll have putting in all that research and work there, that research just to put it on Facebook. Yeah, then for it to get lost in the algorithms.
I found this stuff taken by some NGE brothers, put in a book and everything. And then my stuff was taken and didn't get nothing out of it. So, I share the reality of that. But if you share too much truth on Facebook, Facebook shuts you down anyway. Take it from me. They removed my entire
they shut your whole page. Yeah, they shut your sister asked me. Bro, sister asked me about you this morning too. She asked you what happened with your father. I had to tell her, this joint got shut down. You know what I'm saying?
Page, and in order for me to keep the page, they wanted me to give my passport or my ID, and I refused to do that. And then they would not allow me to start a new page. 4 different times they denied me, and I was starting a whole different page. It just so happened that I had created a page a year prior that I never used. So it's a serious game. So we have to find a different way to communicate than Facebook.
Nah, I'm not putting no Jews, no Facebook. And besides, I'm tired of, I had people steal from me before. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm not putting no Jews on Facebook. I'm going to talk about Will Smith and Jada and him smacking Chris Rock.
What's that book? What's that book? Black Root Science. We had communicated with that brother. I remember an individual came to me and asked me a question, back channel, and he was asking me about the Wallace thing and all that. And that's when I was teaching about Yaqub being Yahweh, and Yahweh and Yaqub are the same people.
That's real.
He took, and this was years ago, he took what I said word for word and put it in his book, Black Root Science. You remember that, right, God?
Yeah,
word
absolutely.
for word, he took my teachings pertaining to Yaqub being Yahweh, and my teachings in regards to why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the prophet was white. He took it. They asked me that question back channel, and then the book came out, and I saw it word for word in the book. So it's like, you know, people have to, you know, people taking knowledge and they not necessarily saying this is where they got it from or things of that nature, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, cite where you got it from. I don't mind anybody borrowing
Yeah,
anything from me, but just cite where you got it from. That's just an honorable thing to do because that's what supreme beings do. You know what I'm saying? No one knows it all. That's just the supreme thing to do. I got this from Brother Khalil, da da da, or this was inspired by such and such. You know, don't go and just, you know, make it seem like it's yours and change a few words around. Just be honest. You know what I'm saying? Say it was my, come up with your own build and you can say it was inspired by such and such. But no, all seriously, I'm not, I don't put heavy Jews on Facebook. So stop asking me that. I'm not, you ain't getting that from me. You want to get the book. I ain't trying to sound crazy right now, or arrogant, but it's just, seriously, I'll just talk about little stuff, but nothing, we ain't put no heavy stuff online like that. All that research and time and effort you put into that, nah. Conference, you should be compensated for it. No, you know. Shafiq Shahbaz says, "Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, sir. Thanks for tuning in.
To black
Appreciate it. That's the older wise brother right there.
Yeah,
So
he over there, man. He be putting up a lot of Jews over there in Africa.
Oh yeah, definitely. We appreciate you tuning in too. You know what I'm saying? Irashan Shabazz Allah, aka Rodney Gardner, says, "Salam Allah, Allah salam, sir." We appreciate you tuning in, joining, likewise, contributing. We're going to close this out. A few more comments I'm going to get through. Roger Shabazz says, "Jewel thieves, so true." Yeah, the jewel thieves, they'll steal from you. He said, Roger Shabazz then says they should give you credit. And he says, "Yes, sir." Yeah, absolutely, man. So that's what we wanted to do. I'm hoping that I covered all the topics I wanted to cover in this Asiatic calendar, and I'm hoping Khalil got the points across in his elaborations on it that we got on, because usually what happens when we get off, oh, dang, I forgot to say that. Wanted to touch on that. You know what I'm saying? It happens. I wanted to keep this as short as possible, and I think we did an okay job. You know, we just a little bit, actually, we're halfway over 2 hours, halfway towards 3. It's a full moon, you know, Saturday, Shabbat, Shalom, everybody. I wanted to get this done early because I know people got things to do on Saturday nights. I got places of being things to do tonight. You know what I'm saying? Definitely share, comment, like, subscribe, follow, or send a friend request, what have you. If you want a hard copy of the 15,108 Asiatic calendar, or calendar in the Asiatic world, or Asiatic world calendar rather, you could just message me first. You could send an email to princeallah@duck.com, or you could just send me a message on Facebook DM. I mean Instagram DM. You could send me a message through Facebook. Send me a request. The information is on the bottom, and the ticker, which is Cash App, the Universal Academy. You know, it's $50 per calendar. I also wholesale too. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to get like a bunch and sell them yourself, I do that. You could ask me about the prices via inbox. Yeah, we come up with the 15,109 soon. We literally have to become masters of our own time. You know what I'm saying? We have to be on our own time again. And this is how because time is motion. When you're on your own time, then you're on your own motion. And that's one of the attributes of being supreme, which is what supreme beings do, being supreme. Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yes, sir. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, Khalil, good looking out. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, before, I think it cut me off when I was trying to say this. I was wanted to do this podcast. I wanted somebody else to be on to get some extra feedback. But I'm like, okay, who could I get on that's rooted in the messenger's teachings, but not stuck in the messenger's teachings? Meaning, oh, messenger didn't say that. Oh, he didn't say that. Oh, you adding your words to me. Oh, no. See, this is the difference between we ain't just parrots, we gods over here. You know what I'm saying? If we say the messenger said in message to the black man, you study a word, you find it to be truth, lay hold to it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's the foundation of it right there. So we don't take anything just off face value. We study a word, even a messenger's word. Nothing on face value. You study a word, and if you find it to be true, lay hold to it. That's pretty much all that I had to say. I'm wishing everybody a happy Sabbath, happy Saturday, Shabbat Shalom. Universal greetings, you know, And Khalil, floor is yours. Anything you want to add on before we close out?
No, sir. Just to give the greetings to everybody. Peace to the
Yes.
gods.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum to the Muslim gods. And salam Allah to the Allahs.
Indeed. Peace.
Peace.